Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wine.com Experiences. I'm Gwendolyn Osborn. Today, we are tasting through the diverse and delicious wines of Germany. So, Prost. The three wines that we are tasting in order are the Wolf Pfalz Pinot Noir Rosé, the Schloss Vollrads Rheingau Riesling, and the Meyer-Näkel Pinot Noir. So if you purchase this trio ahead of time from Wine.com, please go ahead, get them open, pour them into some glassware. If you don't have the wines, absolutely okay, because this trio is still available on Wine.com. And this video, like all of our lovely wine tasting videos, live on our Wine.com YouTube channel. So please take a moment to subscribe to that when you can, so you can keep up with everything we're doing. So as I mentioned, we are tasting through three wines today in collaboration with Wines of Germany. We're tasting wines from the Pfalz, which I love studying the Pfalz because they always call it the thumb of Germany. So the Pfalz region, that's where our rosé is coming from, the Rheingau, a very famous Riesling place, which we were tasting Riesling from, and of course the Ahr region, which you see on this map. So I just want to point out that the Ahr here, this little tiny, wonderful region here, was one of the areas most devastated by the unprecedented floods in Germany this summer of 2021. Some people lost everything, some people just lost a lot, but everybody was very strongly affected. And our guests from this region will get more into that, as well as sharing ways that you can give back and help. So let us welcome our guests. From Wolf, we have owner and also Riesling expert, Ernst Lüssen. From Schloss Vollrads, we have senior consultant, global brand ambassador, and I understand kind of a jack of all trades, Roald Hepp. And from Meyer-Näkel, we have proprietors, winemakers, and sisters, Dr. and Meyer-Näkel. And I hope I did not do terribly with those. Sorry. But we are so thrilled to have you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Joining us today, taste of these wines. Very excited. It's like this colorful array of wines. I've got a pink and a white and a red, and these three different regions. It'll be this wonderful tour through Germany and all it has to offer. So, speaking of Germany, I would like to speak to that, to just German wine first, because I think there's so much that consumers don't know about the country and its wine. And so I want you to educate us. Tell our consumers, what do you want them to know about either your specific region and the wines coming from there, or German wine as a whole? So Ernst, I'm going to throw that one to you to start.
Yeah, well, first, good evening or good afternoon with you guys up there. Great to have all these viewers from Wine.com who are interested in German wines. And it's definitely the case that Germany is mostly famous for its Riesling, but Germany shows much more grape varieties historically as only Riesling. Riesling is definitely the most known grape variety for Germany. Germany represents 50% of the world production of Riesling, so by far the largest Riesling producer in the world, with nearly 50% of the grown area. I think worldwide there's 50,000 hectares grown of Riesling, 50%, nearly 45,000 is grown in Germany. But a lot of people don't know that Germany is also historically very well known for the Pinot varietals, not only for Pinot Noir. We are also the largest Pinot Blanc producer in the world, Germany. We are the largest Pinot Gris producer in the world. And historically, we had been even the second largest Pinot Noir producer in the world. And we all know since Sideways 2004, there was so much Pinot Noir stuck into the ground in the US that the US took over Germany as the second largest Pinot Noir grower a few years ago. So Germany is now the third largest Pinot Noir grower in the world. But this is pretty much unknown, beside of, other autochthone, indigenous grapes like Silvaner, which you could call the Grüner Veltliner of Germany. Sadly, it is declining. I'm a big fan of Silvaner, makes great dry wines. But, well, sadly, it's not in demand as much anymore. As Gewürztraminer in the old days, aromatic grape varieties have been also pretty popular. It's also going out of fashion. But Germany has a lot of grape varieties. And as one of the most northern growing wine regions in Europe, at least historically now with global warming, we have wines in England, even in south of Sweden. But historically, it was mostly it was the most northern growing wine region in the world. The wines are pretty delicate and rather aromatic because of the long hang time of the grapes. So Germany offers a lot of great traditional grape varieties which are still not known worldwide.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I think part of that is just the process of getting them to the US and introducing people. But I also sometimes, when I taste really amazing wines, I think, oh, they're just keeping it all to themselves. So maybe that's what you're doing, and hopefully we can change that and have some more, because these wines have been stunning. Roald, what about you for introducing Germany and Rheingau to people?
Yeah, I think Ernie mentioned pretty much of what's worth mentioning. Maybe I can add one thing. In terms of wine and credibility of wine, history and tradition is very important to know about. So as a legitimation for wine competence and wine quality, wine history is always a very important part of the deal. And the German wine growing areas have a pretty long tradition. Most people know Germany because we are good in car manufacturing and beer and sausages, but we have a fairly amazing wine tradition founded by Roman soldiers. Our wine tradition goes back 2,000 years, and 2,000 years ago, they started to grow wines in the river valleys, in the Mosel Valley, in the Rhine Valley, in the nearby rivers of Ahr and Nahe and Saar. So we have lots of little prestigious wine appellations to offer to the world. And Schloss Vollrads is along the Rhine River Valley. And our premise have been founded by Roman soldiers about 2,000 years ago. We cultivate wines on the same vineyards since about the Roman times. And nobody knows, but the first ever sales record for wines, the first ever bill for selling wine in the world, it's not in a French winery, it's not in a Spanish, Italian, Greek, or Turkish winery, it's at Schloss Vollrads. So we started to sell wine in the year 1211, and ever since then, we sell wine continuously since more than 810 years. So why is wine such a big thing in Germany? Because it comes along with natural given growing conditions. We have such an amazing gift of nature in the river valleys, really amazing soil structures, cool climate conditions, and a wide variation of authentic grape varieties. And last but not least, family-driven, passionate wineries who love to achieve the highest ever possible wine quality. And this combination of nature-given conditions and passion makes German wine so unique.
Yeah, so Germany is definitely, in case anybody didn't know, part of the old world of wine. Yeah. Some people, I think it's like, so what's Germany doing? No, they've been doing it, and you're right. And I haven't been able to visit all the places there, but it is, each pocket is so unique and so well suited for what they're growing there, and been working on it for generations. So thank you. Dr. and Micah, do you have any thoughts on kind of what you would share, especially with the Ahr region, because it's the smallest and it's the tiniest, and so kind of what would you want consumers and wine drinkers to know about your place?
Yeah, Ernst and Robert already said a lot about German wine culture, so we don't go into that too much. But what we want to mention as well is the specialty about German terroirs, about the diversity of soils and the diversity of grape varieties, which is it's very important, and especially for the R region, we have the specialty that we have slate soil. Which is a soil that is not that often used for wine growing around the world, but especially it's very unique that we have a full region full of slate soil, which is planted with Pinot Noir, with a Spätburgunder grape, which gives those wines a very special characteristic. So we have a lot of different spots around Germany where we have those very special combinations, and in the R, it's the combination with Pinot Noir and slate. So
yeah, and I
Pinot
think
Noir in the soil. Yeah, the terroir. Sorry.
No, it's also quite special because we are so much up in the north, and so normally it would be too cold to grow wine here in the region. But we have a very small valley with very steep slopes, and so good exposure to the sun. And I think that makes it quite unique that we're so much up in the north growing wine here.
Yeah, and I think that once we get to your wine, that will be so well reflected there. So thank you. But we are going to start tasting, and we are starting with Wolf Pinot Noir Rosé. So Ernst, you purchased Wolf in, I think, 1996. So after a very storied and long, wonderful history with many grape varieties and lots of Riesling, what drew you to the property there, and what does it stand for today?
Well, it was the idea behind purchasing an estate down on the Rhine River was that I love the Pinot varietals. We grow, our family estate on the Mosel, Dr. Losen, we grow Riesling since 200 years. We grow only Riesling. This is the traditional grape variety here in the Mosel. We didn't do anything else. And I thought, we should keep it like that, even that you find now also Pinot Noir and Pinot Blanc and other Pinot Gris on the Mosel. But for us and the traditional wine estates on the Mosel, it was always pretty clear. We stick to the Riesling. This is our tradition. This is what we started 4 or 5 generations ago, nearly 200 years, we do Riesling. But I love the Pinot varietals, and I always thought that if I want to do Pinot varietals, I want to go to a region which has a long tradition for Pinot varietals, and that is definitely the Rhine River. We know that Pinot varietals are along the Rhine River in Alsace. You have Pinot Tokai in the old days, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Noir, and Riesling. Riesling is the grape variety of Germany. You find it all along the Rhine River, but on the Rhine you have also a long tradition over 1,000 years. I read once that it was Charles the Bolded, a French king, who brought 1,000 years ago the Pinot varietals to the Lake Constance, and then these Pinot varietals have been moving up the Rhine River, and therefore, and then I had a great chance in '96. A good friend of mine, an English wine journalist, Stuart Biggett, phoned me up and said, "Oh, you always have been looking for something in the Rhine," and I found a wonderful estate which is for rent. It was basically for rent. The owner was only interested in the real estate, but he's not interested in the winery. And so, yeah, I've been driving down there. Beautiful spot in the Pfalz Palatinate area, very close to Alsace, to the Alsatian border. So you see very much the same tradition, even if it comes to food. It's pretty much the same kind of tradition as in Alsace, lots of pork and, sauerkraut and all this kind of stuff. And so 96, it's still a great friend, this owner, to me, and we're still working together since 96 now. And I concentrated. on
Oh,
these
I was
Pinot
gonna
varieties.
say, yeah, you said the Pinot variety. So what about the Pfalz, the climate, the soils? I think it's been mentioned, the
Yeah, well,
Tuscany of Germany. How is this relating so well to Pinot Noir?
what worked in these days too very well, you know, the Pfalz is definitely, even if it is only 100 miles south from the Mosel, you know, but it is already a dramatic different climate there, you know. It was always warmer, you know, it's a warmer climate, you know. The grapes had been, the harvest always started about 2 weeks earlier as in the Mosel. For us was very, very convenient, you know, we could start the harvest in the Pfalz, finish it there. Then we have been going to the Mosel with the team and have been continuing there. Nowadays, it's a little bit different due to global warming. It seems that the Mosel is pretty much close to the Pfalz now. We're starting more or less the same time, but it is a different soil. We do have in the Mosel the same soil as in the Ahr, as old slate soil. The slate soil gives a different character to the wines. Seems to work very well with Riesling. One of the reasons possibly that the Mosel is nearly all Riesling. In the Pfalz, we have a much bigger varietals of soil sent towards to the Rhine River, to the river itself. You have this riverbed soil, sandstone, river gravel. If you go more to the hillsides, you know, which is the hard mountains, you have all kind, and a little bit more in the south, you have limestone, lots of limestone. We do have our top Pinot Noirs we produce are from limestone soil. The Pinot Noir Rosé, which we have here in the class, this is more from the bottom and towards to the river side, you know, more sand soil, sandstone. So maybe riverbed soil, quite warm soils because sand can be warm, very well drained. And therefore, it is also not, you know, in the old days, they produced rosé always in the way that it was a kind of a side product of the red wine production. You know, it was what the French call saignée, you know, they pleated off the juice and then used the pleating off for the rosé production to make the red wine more concentrated, more red and so, you know. But nowadays, therefore, that we have a great opportunity and great sources of Pinot Noir, especially in the Pfalz, we can produce 100% Pinot Noir rosés, you know. Pinot Noir is usually an expensive grape. In Burgundy, you don't find roses anymore because the red wine is so much more expensive as selling it as a cheap rosé. And even, we have also a winery in Oregon. You don't use the Oregon Pinot Noir anymore for rosés because you can sell it much more expensive as a red wine. But therefore, that we have so much sources of Pinot Noir in the Pfalz, it is a great source also to find enough grapes, enough vineyards where you can do 100% rosé, you know, and we treat it also different, you know. So the vineyards which we use for the red wine are differently treated to as the vineyards we use for the rosé production. So the rosé production, we hang a little bit more fruit because we don't want to have 14% alcohol with a rosé. Rosé is a summer drinking wine. So we hang a little bit more fruit. We don't need necessarily to go totally 100% ripe, you know. We don't have to go for 100% intense red, you know, berries or bunches, you know, because we do a rosé, you know. And we love to have, therefore, that we hang a little bit more fruit, not going too ripe. So, for example, our rosé is only 12% alcohol. 12%
oh, see, I
alcohol,
love
you know?
that.
And so we want a refreshing summer drinking wine, and if you smell it, and that is very typical.
Talk us through a tasting note with the aroma and the flavors.
And it is very typical for 100% Pinot Noir Rosé. Typical is the strawberry aroma. Strawberry is very typical for rosé from Pinot Noir. We keep it fresh, you know, as I said, only 12% alcohol. We keep it a little bit higher in acidity. To get this, you know, more light, refreshing taste, summer drinking wine. We're not going through malolactic fermentation as all red wines are usually going through, you know. We avoid the malolactic. We want to keep the acidity here. We don't want to go too overripe. So 12.5% is the maximum which we're looking for our rosé. And we're also not going too deep in the color. We in Germany like what we call the salmon color, you know, because sometimes you see rosés which are pretty dark. We love this salmon color with our rosés. And it is for us a summer drinking wine. I always tell the people, look, out of the ice bucket, you know, you fire up your Barbie, you know, and on Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock, your friends are coming in, you pour the first wine, you pour as a welcome drink to all your friends, you know, fire up the Barbie, you can drink the rosé into the first course, you know, as you like, you know. I mean, food and wine pairing is very important, but, you know, basically what I always say, you know what the best food and wine pairing is? You drink your favorite wine with your favorite food, then you can't do anything wrong.
Okay, I was about to go in and ask, you know, the German wine is, I mean, it's universally delightful with food, but I mean, if you're talking about favorite food pairings, like you said, you're coming in, it's the starters, it's the snacks, it's the little things in the summer that are kind of, you're refreshing your palate with this. And
exactly. It's a great wine you can drink on your own to start as a welcome drink, but you can keep it then into the first course, you know? I mean, if you start, you know, with little, you know, things, you start to nibble, you know, I mean, fish and so, especially because of the refreshing, you know, and acidic, you know, and dry character, it works definitely also well with all kind of shellfish stuff, you know, or fish or whatever you use as
salty and
we use it always with, you know, here in our area we have river fish, you know, we are not on the sea, and so, and what's popular here is always since grandmother, it is the popular dishes are here. Smoked trout, you know, we do always a carpaccio of red beet, you know, carpaccio of red beet, smoked trout on it, you know, some freshly chopped up shallots, you know, with a vinaigrette, but with a balsamico vinaigrette, which is a little bit sweet. That is a perfect match with this rosé. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Oh, well, thank you. This was delicious and refreshing. So thank you so much. Our next wine is the Schloss Vollrads Rheingau Riesling. So, Roald, you had mentioned that you've been around for 800 plus years of viticultural history. So, maybe think kind of over the last, over the years, how have you seen the winery evolve, especially in the more recent years?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding going on. It's not me personally being around for 800 years. I look quite old.
You look great. No, I thought you looked great.
I just want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding about that. But you know, nobody expects a German winery to be around for such a long time. If it comes to wine, everybody's talking about France, Italy, Spain, Greece, Georgia, whatever country. Germany is more well known for car manufacturing. It used to be very well known for soccer playing, not so much any longer, but also for sausages and hams and things like that. But as our wine growing dates back to Roman times, we still have a remarkable history going on for wine growing, and nobody knows about that. So that's kind of a hidden secret. And Schloss Vollrads is in the middle or on the top of the wave of these hidden secrets, because we have been founded by Roman soldiers. The tower you have seen as a landmark tower in the images you've shown before has been founded by Roman soldiers about 2,000 years ago. We still cultivate vineyards, which has been mentioned first 1,200 years ago, and we have this kind of USP asset. So we have the first ever sales document on this planet showing the sales of wine. And this is a bill of sales going back to the year 1211. How did the winery evolve? Over the years, coming with expertise and passion and gut feeling, we focus on Riesling exclusively. Okay. Ernie Lawson mentioned that Germany is the #1 Riesling growing country in the world. But within Germany, we have 13 wine growing appellations: Mosel, Pfalz, Rheinhessen. And Schloss Vollrads is located in the Rheingau. The Rheingau is only 7,500 acres, a very small appellation. But this small appellation is the appellation for Riesling, because 85% of our appellation is cultivated with Riesling. And Schloss Vollrads decided long time ago to focus on Riesling exclusively. So we have about 150 acres dedicated to just one grape variety, just Riesling. That means all our wines are unblended, true, authentic Riesling wines. No other grape variety, just Riesling.
100%.
Authentic style. And
Tell
this
us
is
a little bit about why the Rheingau is so ideal for.
Gwendolyn, you put your finger into the
Oh.
important thing. So why is this going to happen? Because Riesling is just a reaction on natural growing conditions. As all around the world, the grape variety should follow the natural growing conditions. And here in the Rheingau, we have two assets you can not copy anywhere else in the world. And this is the mix of climate and soil. Our vineyards are located next to the 50 northern parallel, which is regarded to be the northern borderline for viticulture. And this 50 northern parallel comes along with cool climate. That means sunny days, but cool nights. And these cool nights guarantee that the freshness, the aromatics, the flavors, and the mouth-watering, appealing style is guaranteed. And our soils are unique. And with all the money in the world, you cannot transport our soils to any other place in the world. And we have 6 different layers of soils: loess, loam, calcareous rock, red slate, black slate, quartz. And the older the wines are, the deeper they drain down to the roots. And the water washes out all the nutrients and all the minerals, and our grapes benefit from all these different minerals. So the Rheingau wines are fresh, crisp, mouth-watering, aromatic because of the climate, and they have this kind of flinty salinity, which you cannot find anywhere else in the world. So why should we grow any other grape than Riesling? It's our past, it's our passion, it's our future. So
Fantastic. So, and you do it so well. So let's taste this wine. And while we taste it, tell us a little bit about the flavor profile, because this wine is a little bit off dry, but you know, if you see people who often say, I just only drink dry wines, I don't even want to taste it, but then something like this comes in front of them and they love it. So, you know, tell us a little bit about why that disconnect is, and why people should pick up a bottle of Riesling like this from Rheingau.
Another very good question, Gwendolyn. I want to change these people's perception. I want to change it into, I only drink dry wines, to I only drink good wines. And what is a good wine? A good wine is the wine you like. It's a mouth-watering wine. A good wine is the wine you want to have the second sip, the second glass, the second bottle. So, as I said before, our cool climate always comes along with a little bit more acidity, with fresh, crisp wines. And fresh, crisp wines like Riesling, they can stand a balancing kiss of residual sugar. So if there's a nice sweetness, a balancing sweetness, bringing harmony and elegancy and noblesse to a wine, there's nothing wrong with it. And this makes the Riesling wine more charming, more appealing, more mouthwatering. And, you know, you all spend your money for things you like. So don't go for terms on the label, just go for your passion, go for your mouth feeling, for your gut feeling. And if you taste this wine, it's coming along with a nice, fresh citrus or lemon notes, and
You get like the crisp apples. I don't know, it's fall, so I'm feeling that crisp apple.
Exactly, and on the palate you have this apple and lemon and lime and a little bit melon.
And pear.
It's full, it's rich, it's kind of, it invites you to the second sip. And Ernie was talking about all these wonderful food pairings. I think you in the followers tonight, they maybe the German dishes are not so popular in the US, but if you imagine all these wonderful choices you have from in the US, you can go for sushi, sashimi, but go for flavors, go for chili, lemongrass, wasabi, ginger, all these fresh, crisp cut herbs like coriander. They all ask for a balancing wine. And this wine goes pretty well along with all these Asian flavors as well. It goes pretty well along with all the Caribbean flavors. And I especially like this wine with chili. Whenever you have some chili coming along with it, that kind of hot, spicy flavor, Riesling takes out the hot burn and intensifies the natural flavor. So you can dive into it, come up, and take your second sip.
Yeah, this is a beautiful, with all those, because this has so much, like you said, character and flavor and intensity that when you pair it with something with those very strong flavors, they balance each other so well. And so yes, this is a favorite, and I love this wine. It's also lower in alcohol, which is beautiful. And Ernie, could you give me that one quote about Riesling that we had earlier? When do you drink Riesling? Oh, we have to unmute you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, unmute yourself. Oh, sorry. There you go. When do we drink Riesling, Ernie?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, sure. Riesling is our grape variety. As I told you, 200 years we grow it. And I think Riesling works. The great thing with Riesling is so versatile. It works nearly with everything. You have fruity, medium dry Rieslings. I think there is, for every dish in the world, you find the Riesling, the right Riesling for it, you know?
But earlier today, you told me you drink Riesling too.
Yes, as my grandfather always said, because on the Mosel, the Riesling is very light, you know, and we have wines with 8-9% alcohol. And he always said, a Mosel is wonderful to drink yourself sober.
So drink yourself sober with Riesling, exactly.
Yes,
so
after a lot of red wines. California red wines.
And Roald, thank you so much for this. This is kind of a new favorite for me, and I'm very excited to keep drinking it. And so thank you. So we are moving on to Meyer-Näkel Pinot Noir. I know that we mentioned this at the beginning, but thank you again, ladies, for joining us today, just 2 months after some devastating flooding that ravaged our region. So not super positive, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about, the flooding, how did it affect you? How did it affect the region, the recovery efforts, some of your experiences?
Yeah, it still feels unreal. So it's quite hard to find words what happened here in our little valley. It was just a lot of rain coming down. For 2 days we had rain coming down, and no one was afraid, or no one could imagine that something really bad would happen. We in the winery, we were more afraid of like mudslides coming down from the vineyards. But we're used to floods, and not in that dimension. So for the whole day we were preparing everything for a flood within the whole winery, and in the evening we were finished, and everybody was going home, and Mike and me decided to stay in the winery to save everything. And from that point, everything was so fast. The water was coming so fast, and everybody in the valley was just surprised by the water coming. I think we saw some pictures now with our barrels, and whole houses were taken away, lives. So it was just the 1 day later the whole valley looked like a bomb hit it. So we're normally a very romantic small valley, a lot of green and vineyards and nice houses. People are caring for their gardens, and today it really looks like we're living in a war.
Well, yeah, like a flood hit it. I mean, they come so fast too. The water, it's a very powerful force of nature, and not to be expecting it or mean, you're preparing for a little bit, but I know that's so devastating. I know you're such a small and wonderful community there. So I want everybody also to know that for the recovery effort, there is a GoFundMe page that you can donate to help the Ahr Valley. You can probably find it just Googling on GoFundMe, but Wines of Germany, also a great site to find out everything you want to know about Wines of Germany, but also has a link there if you would like to link to trying to help the Ahr Valley. So yeah, I know you're in a container with the remote.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you're in some sort of container, but still, I mean, it's harvest. You're still making it work. So your dedication is so admirable, and just best wishes are with you as you go through this rebuilding process.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about your wine because we are excited about it. And one of the other ways we can always support Germany and the Ahr Valley is just to buy and drink their wine. So we are definitely going to be doing that. But the Ahr region itself, it's a small region, you know, kind of solo, but it's a little bit synonymous with Pinot Noir, otherwise known as Spätburgunder in Germany. And, you know, Ernie was talking about how much he loves the Pinot varieties and how Germany has been in the past so focused on Pinot Noir. But what about the Ahr makes it so well? You talked a little bit about the slate soils, but it's suited for Pinot Noir. How and why does that work so well?
Yeah, it's that the Ahr is one of Germany's smallest and most northern wine growing regions, and the generations before us decided that Pinot Noir would be the perfect match for slate in our region. Even if we are also working a little bit with Riesling, it's the Pinot Noir, which is worth 75% our most important grape variety. Also for our region, we have a very certain microclimate because the Ahr, it's sometimes a little bit after this flood, it's very sometimes it shows up in a very different way because before the flood, we always said that the Ahr the valley was created millions of years ago because the Ahr was making this kind of canyon-like valley in our region. And just a few weeks ago, we learned how the Ahr really, or the water really worked this canyon-like valley in our in our region. So it's some kind of still some kind of I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, coming back to the valley itself, or to our wines and the specialty of our wines, the Ahr runs from west to east into the Rhine River, and so you saw on the picture before that most of the vineyards are planted on the steep slopes on the south faced side of the valley, and here we find very very good microclimate for Pinot Noir with very warm days, a warm soil, so giving a lot of not concentration but power and fruit to the wines, and very cold nights because the air really runs away and keeps a very cold temperature during night times. So we end up in having a lot of minerality in our wines, a lot of fruit, but as well we have a Pinot Noir which lives of a very nice tension and crispiness as well.
Yeah, and so you know, as we kind of are looking at this wine, smelling this wine, tell us a little bit about your philosophy around producing Pinot Noir, especially as it relates to, I know your father made so many strides and kind of innovations for your winery in that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. There's two of you.
I think it's very important for us to produce a very unique Pinot for the region. So as we were talking a lot of about the slate soil, so which is unique in the Ahr Valley for Pinot, or in Mosel for the Rieslings. And we want to show how wine grows on slate. So as Michael told us, we want to have the minerality. We want to have a good acidity. We're up in the north, so we have these cool nights. And I think the Ahr Valley style of Pinot is because of that is very unique and different to the other regions.
And our philosophy, and as well the philosophy of our father, was that the wine should show definitely where they come from. So that it's very important that it's not a Pinot Noir that we only copy from like Burgundy or whatever region in the world, because that is quite fancy in the moment. No, we want to show the very special terroir and the characteristic of the what happens when you put Pinot Noir on slate. And that is so much important for us, and it was for our father that that the Herkunft, the German word Herkunft, that where the wine really comes from.
So
that you
can, English might be sense of place.
No, origin.
Around
origin.
Okay, okay, thank you.
The origin, that is a word. Yeah, that's it. And that should be shown in every single wine that we produce. And that is still our philosophy. Yeah.
Well, I would love you to walk us through a tasting note as we smell and taste. I have not had this wine before, and I am deeply in love with it. Like you said, it is different. I mean, that minerality comes through, but I can't compare it to anything else because it's so unique. So talk us through a little bit about the aromas, the flavors, the texture, the structure.
Yeah, it's a wine which is quite driven of intense fruit of dark berries, but also shows a lot of black cherries. It comes from a vintage that is was quite warm, but our very biggest aim is always that we keep the Pinot still cool and crispy. So you can feel this also in that wine. We do for the Pinot Noir production, we have to do a crushed must fermentation. So we ferment the skins and the pips and everything together with the must to a wine. But we do extract, but we do not want to extract too much, so that the wine keeps very not easy drinking. That is perhaps not the right word, but it should invite you to drink a second and the third and the fourth glass. And it should not be a red wine where when you have the first 3 sips that you feel to be full of concentration. So it should show up more or less like what we always tell about Riesling. That is what we want to show up with the Pinot Noir.
Beautiful, and it is beautiful. It has that crunchy, that crisp. It has the wonderful kind of mix of those dark berries, but that mineral, the soil, kind of comes through in the earth sense that it should. So it's quite beautiful. What do you enjoy drinking this with for food?
I think it's an all-rounder. So for me, this Pinot is always an all-rounder. You can have it for braised meat, or in summer times when it's really hot, you can cool it a bit down and have it for a barbecue. So it's really, and it's also nice with pasta, with tomato sauce, so with that fruitiness. But also what we had with the chili. So I like it also with the spicy food as well. So it takes the spiciness because of that fruitiness, and it's not too heavy for a lot of dishes. That's what I mean with the all-rounder. You can choose it for nearly everything, or just at night without food after long day of work.
I think we've learned that with all of these wines. I think it's just kind of German wines are kind of universally food friendly. They all have the amazing acidity that you need to stand up to something. They have the flavor to stand up to everything. And it was a great reminder and introduction as well for me to taste some of these wines. So one last outgoing question, maybe just in like 1 or 2 sentences, if we can, of just kind of, is there anything that excites you about German wines in the world right now, just kind of German wines in the industry? About the wine industry in Germany right now? And Michael and Dorte, I don't know if you can answer that, because you're just like, we just want to get a winery back up, but is there anything that you're thinking of in the future that's exciting you?
It's when I have a look at whole Germany, it's what we mentioned today. a lot that we all the areas are so unique, and the regions and the wines. So Riesling from Pfalz will never taste like a Riesling from Mosel, and it's same for the Pinot. So it's so great to show the people the diversity of the different regions and grapes from Germany. So it's always a pleasure to show people German wines and what we can do in in Germany.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've done a lot of wine studies in my life, but mainly a while ago, but I'm constantly learning. And especially for Germany, I feel like I'm always learning something new about new grape varieties and styles and producers. So thank you for making beautiful wine. Roald, what about you? Anything, Horizon, what's exciting about German wine for you right now?
How long have we got time to share with you?
I know. I wish I had more time. I mean, it has been 800 years for you, right? You're
yeah, but you know,
approaching 900. So, you know, what's exciting for you?
I need to cut it down to like 30 seconds. I think there are 2 or 3 details worth mentioning and sharing with the followers for tonight's session. First of all, I think German wines, no matter if it's Riesling, which is our leading grape variety, and this is the message I want to give to the followers for tonight. If it comes to Riesling, you automatically end with Germany because we are the #1 producer in Riesling, and subdivided to all these different wine growing areas, but it's still German Riesling who leads the market. So if it comes to Riesling, you end up with German Riesling. And why? German Riesling is fresh, it's mouth-watering, it's light, it's elegant. And everybody knows about global warming. So the wines around the world tend to get and end up in higher alcohol levels year by year, slightly. But we are still producing wines on the northern borderline for viticulture in a cool climate. So our wines are still coming along with fairly low alcohol levels. So we can produce a full, rich, tasty wine with 8.5, 9, 10% of alcohol. And this is a USP, which is worth mentioning. And along with this low alcohol level, a second USP comes along. Our wines are never, ever over-oaked. Our wines are natural tasty. The taste is coming from vintage, which is the weather influence. It comes from soil, the salinity, the flintiness, and it comes from the aromatics, the grape varietal influence. This is far enough to make a wine rich and tasty. And we don't need oak to overpower our wines. And that's the reason why our wines are so food friendly, because they are never ever dominate the food flavors. They support the food flavors. Riesling is by far the most food-friendly wine. Ernie Lowson said, you find a dish to almost any Riesling. And that's the message of the night. We all eat 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We do not mention supper.
This is breakfast, this is lunch, and then this is dinner.
Yeah, that's it. We cover the full day. Today's session is what you can copy almost any day. And take it, try it, and you will love it.
Absolutely. And I do love that all of these are such wonderful alcohol levels. Even the Pinot is 13.5. So all of these are under 14% alcohol, which is reasonable. That makes them so food friendly and wonderful. So thank you so much, Roald. Ernst, any final thoughts? You've been—
well, it is definitely German wines. Yeah, German wines made it really back, you know. I mean, we had you have to see it that way. In the 50s, 60s, we had much cooler climate, and due to global warming, I think German wines, and I talk about the traditional grape varieties like Riesling, the Pinot varietals, you know, they made a real huge comeback, you know, and possibly due to the global warming, suddenly you see great Pinot Noirs coming out of Germany, and I will have dinner this evening with Jancis Robinson, for example. She wrote a lot about German Pinot Noirs, and she's so excited. And she said, there's really something. I mean, Germany becomes a Pinot Noir growing country. I mean, we know that we do great Rieslings now, but that we can go, that we become also for the Pinot Royals, a great, I mean, a great country for doing great Pinot Noirs. And I read once in Decanter, and I think it was the young Mr. Feverley was once asked from the journalist from Decanter, said what he thinks, what is the next big competition for Burgundy? I mean, we talked about Pinot Noir. He didn't say California or Oregon or New Zealand. He said Germany, which is amazing. I mean, here, I mean, I tell you that in the next 10 years in the future, you will see some really great, even for Pinot Noir, great ones. That we are the greatest for Riesling. Okay, we know that, and here we can be arrogant. But even here for us, in the Mosel, which was always difficult to make great dry wines, because it was cool, 60s, 70s, to hit the ripeness for dry wine was difficult, But I think now, we make great wines without high alcohol, We do great wines, dry wines with 12.5 alcohol. We don't have to go 14 or 15 alcohol to get the aroma ripeness. And I think this is the big advantage for German wines in the future. People are going back with alcohol. They don't want to have the 15 alcohol anymore. They want to get more, delicate wines again, and this is the natural area to make delicate wines, It's the nature makes it here. We don't have to work for it. The nature brings it now.
Absolutely. And that is the future of Germany, as it's getting a little bit warmer. So you're still making the same quality, the delicate, but there's going to be complexity. There's going to be more diversity. There's going to be all those choices between Rosé, Riesling, Pinot Noir at all many different levels. So if you don't have this trio, you have to buy it, because it's just such a great representation of, again, this diverse collection of wines that can kind of reach any meal and any palate. So I thank you all for joining us to talk about Germany. Dorte and Michael, I wish you the best in recovery. So as you rebuild. So thank you for staying up late, being here. Again, Trio is still on Wine.com. This video will live on our Wine.com YouTube channel. But Ernst, Roald, Dorte, and Michael, appreciate your time. Prost.
Thanks. Cheers.